Alright, so a few people have been asking me about my build. This is a T13 map. I'm just going to be running it to show you guys exactly what my Bane setup is like, why I chose CI over Life or Hybrid, and why I chose Bane and not Soul Rend, which is more popular. So I'm just going to run through this map real quick to show you guys what this guy can do. Right off the bat, there are like a million people, so I have this Val Blight, which will just take care of everybody, slowing them down and making them way less resistant to chaos damage. And you will see me zipping around a lot because every time I use Flame Dash, it casts Arcane Surge, which gives me 10% extra spell damage. And it also helped me to get out of trouble because I am a bit squishy. I mean, I have some defensive mechanisms, but it's just a pure evasion and energy shield build, so I don't have any armor, so physical damage still can fuck me up pretty badly. But all elemental resists are capped. Mapping is pretty smooth. I've invested a bit in AoE. Eventually oh nice, T11 map. Eventually I'd like to get a Carcass Jack that I can still get enough evasion and energy shield from that, and it will give me a ton of area. AoE. Bane doesn't scale with AoE damage, but it does scale with base AoE, which is just the width of your circle thing. And even though it's a damage over time build, you pretty much one-shot everything that your Bane touches. And even if it doesn't one-shot them, by the time you cast it and run off, they will die anyway. You just need to hit them with it once. Well, for the regular mobs. And then they're pretty much dead. For my flasks, it's just alright, let's just try to kill this boss real quick. I've also linked it with, I have on a 4 link, I have god damn it, I don't want to die. Where's this guy? Should be it. I have Essence Drain on a 4 link, so that's another damage over time multiplier being affected. But it's only really useful for like bosses, and that boss would have gone down way quicker if it wasn't for that fucking shield mechanic that he has, where you have to kill like the totems or whatever. That's pretty much it. That was a T13 map, and it wasn't just like a base map with no mods. I'll show you the mods. I'll show you the mods and quickly go over my setup at the end. I mean, the only thing that used to kill me was bleed, and I got a flask of Staunching. My mana flask is of Staunching, so that takes care of the bleed 100% now. If I realize I'm bleeding, I just press the up arrow. That's my mana flask, and that's pretty much it. So far with this character, I'm able to farm Ubalab. I mean, whenever I choose to. I don't enjoy doing it, but if somebody asks, then I'll do I'm able to farm Ubalob. I can take Guardians down. I've not yet attempted Shaper because I haven't finished with all the Guardians anyway, but just 10 monsters left in the map, so that's pretty much it. So let's just quickly go over the gear. So I'm still using, which is item level 76 wand. It's not really anything special. It's really just the spell damage increase, the extra crafted 54% spell damage, and the 20% to non-ailment chaos damage over time. That's really important. I have this shield, Wrathpit Globe, or whatever the fuck it's called. That's really good. Sintrek, which if you're on a budget, this is the best boots for energy shield build. I got the 30% quality from the Menagerie, or whatever it's called. Vixen's Entrapment, which is definitely needed. Whenever I cast Bane, it casts these two curses: Enfeeble, which is like a defensive mechanism for me because everybody hits way lower than they should be, and then Temp Change, which slows them down. So if anybody gets too close, whenever I pop Bane, it casts these two curses. Everybody's slowed down and it's weaker, so I'm able to get away. For my main 6th link, it's Bane, Swift Affliction, Despair. You should only have one. In my opinion, it's best to only have one curse equipped to Bane itself, so, and Despair is the best. So Bane, Swift Affliction, Despair, Efficacy, Control Destruction, Void Manipulation. And this piece of armor is really weak. It was just given to me. I've been trying to 6th link this one, which isn't that much better for ages, because if you look at the energy shield, once I equip this, I'll get to 6,400. That's 1k more, but it's not linked as of yet, so I still have to be using this. If I do get lucky and get a Carcass Jack, then instantly I'll just try to 6th link the Carcass Jack. I'll get pretty much the same ES, if not more, and I'll get the benefit of having like between 40 and 50% more AoE and some other stats. Belt, Ascent from Flesh, really good for this build. Dream Fragment Sapphire Ring. This ring is pretty insane because I cannot be chilled or frozen, and I already cannot be stunned, so nothing stops me. Resistance is on pretty much everything else. Helmet, flat ES and percentage ES, and that's pretty much it for the flasks. My mana flask is pretty much my anti-bleed flask, just a sulfur flask, Quicksilver, and then on my Stibnite flask, which gives me 100% evasion rating whenever I pop it, I also crafted Adrenaline on it. So whenever I pop this flask and this flask, I just get significantly faster. I don't have any charges on them now, but that's pretty much it. The fuck is that? Alright, die. Also, if you realize what just happened, I'm phasing. That's because of the belt. Whenever my ES is recharging, I get phasing, which allows me to run through enemies and stuff. 2 monsters left. So that is pretty much it. So it's just Bane on the 6th link that does the damage. And for my 3-link movement speed, it's Flame Dash. Arcane Surge, it's locked to level 1 because Arcane Surge, whenever you spend a certain amount of mana, that's when you get the buff, and the mana cost gets really high. No skill really uses that much mana, so it gets really unreliable. So I've locked it to level 1. You can potentially carry it to level 3 and lock it, but I was just safe for locking it at level 1 and faster casting. So top left, you can see my buffs. Whenever I cast this, I get an additional 6-second buff, which gives me 10% overall increase spell damage. So that's pretty much it. That's the setup, and yeah.